Hi there, Smart Drivers, talking to you tonight about crashes and the impact that they have on our societies, on our worlds, and the toll that it extracts from our healthcare system, emergency services, and society overall. So we're going to talk about that, the impact it has on you, and how to prevent crashes and make yourself a safer, smarter driver. There's a few people here already. Z is here. Mallory is here from the Maritimes. My friend Blessed is here from Hawaii. Hello, hello, everyone. And if you're just tuning in, let us know which license you're going for and where you are at your learning, what questions we can answer for you, all of those good things. And if we can help you in any way, we can certainly answer your questions. Tim is tuning in from Winnipeg. Z is here from New York, so a few people here already. And if you have any questions at all, leave them in the comments. Corey is here, Bricks for Wheels. He is the moderator and does an excellent job of getting up the videos that I suggest you have a look at for more details to the questions that you ask and working towards a license, becoming a safer, smarter driver, or starting a career as a truck or bus driver. Joe is here from Toronto. Hello, my friend. And we're not exactly experiencing spring here, but the flowers are out on the trees, and it is absolutely magic here in early May. So hello, hello. As well, I pinned up there the shirts, merchandise by Smart Drive Test, one of our favorite sayings. And remember, pick the best answer, not necessarily the right answer. You want to start up great conversations, pick up one of those shirts, and I've tried very hard to keep them under $30 because, I don't know, I just don't think you should pay more than $30 for a t-shirt. But if you're interested in those, they're over there. Chantel is here. She's going for a G2 license in Ontario. Hello. Congratulations, Chantel. You're going to do awesome. If you have any questions, drop us a note. Be more than happy to help you out. Lots of good stuff going on here at Smart Drive Test. As you know, we're putting up video shorts every day here on YouTube, over at TikTok, Instagram. So we got all of that going on as well. We're launching a podcast in June. I've been getting that arranged, getting the first ones going, introductions and whatnot. So that's exciting. And we're going to launch that in June, as I said, because what happens, I've had smart drivers suggest to me in the past that I repurpose the live streams and put them up as a podcast. So I've taken that on and we're doing that. So basically what I do is take the 1 hour, crunch it down to 30 minutes, and then send it off to the audio engineers, and they do an excellent job of putting that together and putting that up so you can listen to it in your car or exercising or riding your bicycle or whatever. So that will be available in June. Look for that. Gila, hi, is the US CDL license working in Canada, please? Thank you. Yes, it's the same here on the channel. Anything that you're looking at here on the channel in terms of CDL, pre-trip inspection, driving the truck, air brakes, all of that information will help you out, and Corey will put up the videos for you, the playlists on truck driving school and the air brakes. Both of those will help you out to earn your CDL license there in the States. And Gala, where are you? Which state are you in, my friend? Trey, hello from Regina, Saskatchewan. I just wanted to say thank you so much. I finally passed my driver's exam and got my license. Thank you for all your help. Trey, that is absolutely awesome. Congratulations on passing your license test. What did you do, my friend, to go and celebrate passing your license? Because remember, you only passed your first license once, and it's very exciting. Very, very exciting. Bluffer, good evening. Hello, my friend. Carl is tuning in from Ottawa, Ontario, Canada, the nation's capital here. Hello, hello. Does my podcast have a name? Yes, it does, Mallory. Thank you for asking that. The Smarter Driver Podcast. That's what we're calling it. So, yes, definitely look for that. And as I said, helping you to become a safer, smarter driver. And essentially what we're looking at in the podcast is the fundamental conflict in traffic, which is congestion versus collisions. Okay, so congestion, traffic flow, trying to get you, goods and services from point A to point B as quickly as humanly possible without causing too much congestion. That's a bit of a challenge in the larger metropolitan cities. So on the one hand, we want to move goods, people, and services between point A and point B as quickly as possible. On the other hand, we want to shore up safety, and we want to have as few crashes and collisions as possible. So this is what we're looking at in the Smarter Driver podcast. is that fundamental conflict between collisions and congestion, and helping you to become a safer, smarter driver, and giving you misinformation about driving and the arena of social driving, the way that people drive after they get their license. So yes, excellent. Thank you for that, Mallory. Desmond, greetings everyone. I'm going for my Class A soon. Congratulations, Desmond. That is absolutely awesome. Trey, I celebrated by borrowing my dad's vehicle and taking my girlfriend for a drive and went for supper. It was so nice. And that is an excellent celebration, Trey. Congratulations. And Gela, you're in Virginia, getting your Class A in Virginia. Yes. So your CDL Class A license, the pre-trip inspection, air brakes, all of that here will help you with that in Virginia. And if you have any questions about getting that in the state of Virginia, definitely drop us a note and we'll definitely help you out. Chantel, is there a playlist on passing driver test in Ontario? Yes, there are a couple of specific videos. Corey will put those up for you. There's one on emergency stops, because they do get you to do that for the driver's test in the province of Ontario. Chantel, what else did I need to tell you? You're going for your G2. G1, G2. Okay, so you're not going for your full G license. It's the full G license that they have temporarily waived slow speed maneuvers, but you'll still be required to do slow speed maneuvers, parallel parking, 3-point turn. So backing into a parking space, parallel parking, and 3-point turn. Those are what you'd be required. Okay. Gala, you're most welcome, my friend. Joe, look for your cruise control poll on your site earlier, Rick, but can't find it. Okay, it's on the community tab. You'll just have to scroll down a little bit farther. Yeah, and I did another poll yesterday. I'll talk about that a little bit later here in the live stream. Bluffer, unfortunately, last weekend I had backed into a car while in Vancouver. I did not know what to do. I studied all of your videos, but I think what to do in a crash is not one of the things I learned. Bluffer, there is a video on what to do in the event of a car crash. Now, you backed into a car. Was there somebody else around or not? Because generally that's going to change the way you exchange information. Usually, if there isn't anybody else around, just leave a note under the windshield wiper with your contact information, and they can get a hold of you about the damage, and you can exchange insurance and license numbers and those types of things at that juncture. Okay. All right, so let's get going here on the car crash presentation. As I said previously, the presentation is about 10 to 12 minutes, and then we come back at the end of the presentation. We spend the remainder of the hour answering any questions you have about passing a driver's test, becoming a safer, smarter driver, or starting a career as a truck or bus driver. You have any questions about any of that, we can help you out. And just before we get started here, if you are going for your first license, be sure to check out the Pass Your Driver's Test course package over at the Smart Drive Test website. Guaranteed to pass your driver's test, and as a bonus, we throw in both the winter and defensive driving smart courses over there. You can pick that up for about $38 US on the Smart Drive Test website. Guaranteed to pass your driver's test as well. You can ask me any questions that you have about getting a license, being successful, passing first time. All right, so car crashes. We're going to talk about that tonight, and I'm going to say this a little bit later in the presentation as well. If you took all the car crashes in one country, put them in one place at one time, it would be considered a national emergency. Unfortunately, that's not the way that we treat car crashes in our society. If you're new to Smart Drive Test, my name is Rick August. I was a truck driver in the 1990s. Drove buses for Greyhound and one of the regional bus lines while I was going to university at the University of Melbourne in Australia. Became a licensed commercial driving instructor in 1997. Earned my doctorate in legal history in 2006, which, as you may or may not know, is the study of policing, courts, and prisons. And my expertise is in policing as it relates to traffic, oddly enough. And I started the Smart Drive Test YouTube channel in 2015, and it has been wildly more successful than I could have imagined, and it is growing at a big rate. As I said, shorts every day, short videos, and as well, we're getting ready to launch a podcast, and as well, there's another book coming out that I'm working on as well that I'm just about to send off to the editor. So we're working on that as well. Lots of stuff going on here. And if you want to know more about me, go over and check out the autobiography over on the Smart Drive Test website. New video this week, how to adjust air brakes. Essentially, it's how to do a six-pack, because you're not going to get underneath the truck with a wrench and adjust an automatic slack adjuster. As I say in the video, 9 out of 10 times, if you are in need of putting a wrench on an automatic slack adjuster, there's something wrong with it and it needs to be replaced. Oftentimes, what happens to automatic slack adjusters on air brake systems is they don't get greased. Because they don't get greased, the ratchet mechanism inside does not ratchet over to the next cog. So if you put a bit of grease to them and then do this six-pack where you do 6 hard brake applications, that will generally bring your brakes into adjustment. If not, limp it into an automotive technician or a diesel mechanic and get them, and oftentimes they'll simply replace it. All right, so if you want to have a look at this, spinning our wheels, the inability of traffic policy to change driver behavior. This is an academic article that I wrote some years ago stating that driver behavior is not reducing traffic crashes. Essentially, more than a century of traffic policy, traffic laws have not influenced driver behaviors. We have put in all kinds of laws since the late 1960s to try and stem the effects of drink driving, intoxicated driving. And if Tim was here, Tim's not here with Drive Smart BC. He's a retired police officer, and he says that drink driving is still a big problem within the umbrella of traffic safety. We have not put a dent in drink driving, and unfortunately now it's gotten worse because now we've legalized marijuana, and the incidence of people driving high is adding to the number of people who are driving drunk. And I put a poll up last week, and I put drink driving and driving high together, and many people, I suspect that they are people who partake in marijuana, took great umbrage at the fact that I put those two things together. Oh, was there some vitriol that there was no such thing? There was the effects of drink driving and the effects of driving high were not the same at all. So have a look at that poll and read some of the comments on that. Okay, so spinning our wheels, the inability of traffic policy to change driver behavior. Since the 1960s, when traffic fatalities were at an all-time high, a record high, and the number of traffic crashes was at an all-time high, this, I would argue, has not changed in the last 50 years. Traffic crash deaths at the beginning of the 1900s, the top 3 reasons people died in our world was because of war, famine, and disease. 100 years later, the reasons that people die changed to terminal illness, suicide, and traffic crashes. And this, you can see the figure of war here giving the trophy for killing the most number of people to the automobile. And this is in 1924, and you can see here that 19,000 Americans were killed and 450,000 were injured. And today that number is about 45,000 Americans are killed every year by the motor car and traffic crashes, and about probably 1.5 million are injured and maimed in traffic crashes. So as I said at the outset, that if you took all of the traffic crashes in 1 year and put them in one place at the same time, it would be considered a national emergency. Famous people who have been killed in car crashes, no one, absolutely no one, is immune to the effects of car crashes. James Dean, who is a famous actor, most famous for Rebel Without a Cause in 1955, and this image here is a copy of his speeding ticket he received 2 hours before he was killed. 1974, Tim Horton, that may not have any significance for people in the United States and other parts of the world, but here in Canada, Tim Hortons is a very famous national coffee shop, and for some of us from the East in Ontario and Quebec, Tim Hortons is next to patriotism. 1997, Princess Diana was killed, and in 2013, Paul Walker was killed. And if you watch the Netflix series Fastest Car, his friend Eric Davies talks about the death of Paul Walker, and there is some irony around the death of Paul Walker because of his his starring role in the movie franchise The Fast and the Furious, which romanticized illegal street racing, and Paul Walker dies in a car crash near the end of that franchise. When do the most number of car crashes happen? The most number of car crashes happen in the summertime, often on dry roads in clear weather. The driver is sober. There are some contributing factors that we can discuss and we think are the reasons that people crash. Fatigue, prescription drugs, and over-the-counter medications. And it was interesting in the poll that I put up about what's the most dangerous kind of driver, very few people thought that prescription medication caused people to be inebriated, which is not true at all. A lot of people who are driving are inebriated because of prescription and over-the-counter medications. Single vehicle collisions, there are a very high number of single vehicle collisions that are inexplicable. Traffic authorities, police, and other people who are invested in traffic safety have very little information about why people crash by themselves. They fall asleep, they're drunk, they're distracted, they are jet lagged for whatever reason. They drive off the road, drive into a fixed object, crash, roll the car. There's a very, very high number of single vehicle crashes where people just drive off the road. So the different types of crashes: head-on crashes, T-bone crashes, rear-end crashes, you get rear-ended, and then sideswipe crashes. So essentially the four sides of your car. Head-on crashes and T-bone crashes are the most lethal of the four types of crashes. Head-ons aren't quite as bad as they once were. Road engineering has prevented a lot of this with interstates and concrete barriers down the center of roadways that are close together, where the two lanes are close together. But we still do have head-on crashes, and these are often fatal. T-bone crashes as well are often fatal, and the severity or the just absolute awfulness of T-bone crashes happens because it's often a couple. It often happens on a left-hand turn. The other car hits the vehicle on the side. There's very little to protect you in the event of a T-bone crash, and they go to the hospital, and the husband was driving and the wife is sitting in the passenger seat, and the husband just killed his wife. So this is the terribleness of, I know that's not a word, but the really severity of T-bone crashes. Rear-end crashes, most people sustain soft tissue damage when they're rear-ended. It's important when you set up your vehicle that you set up the head restraint correctly. The head restraint in the vehicle prevents your head from snapping back, and as well it should be adjusted so the top of the head restraint is at minimum at the top of your ears. In most vehicles it is, but some just definitely have a check. Sideswipe crashes usually result in just property damage. There's very few injuries, and it's a high likelihood in a sideswipe crash that you're going to survive. And if you have the choice between a sideswipe crash and a head-on crash, pick the sideswipe crash every time. Rural crashes that happen in the country, are often fatal because you don't get emergency attention, you don't get medical attention soon enough. So we know that there are twice the number of crashes in cities as there are in the rural settings, but there are twice the number of fatalities in rural settings. And these are the reasons why more people die in crashes in the country, is because the chances of somebody finding you, as I said previously, most of the crashes are single vehicle crashes and there's nobody else around. There's no other passengers in the vehicle. Emergency vehicles have to find you and they have to get to you. It's a lot better now, obviously, with GPS and helicopters and those types of things. But if you're in a rural area, you're on a backcountry road, or here in the mountains where we live, you're on a logging road or those types of things, it's going to be a fair length of time before you receive medical attention. Top 3 reasons for crashes, and most of the traffic authorities who put up the reasons for crashes like to put speeding at the top. And I disagree with that, because if speeding was the number one reason for crashes, then we would have more crashes on highways, which is not true. Okay, so I say that the number one reason for crashing is failing to yield. And if you want to see some of the comments about this, simply go over to the TikTok Smart Drive Test account and look at the merging video and the number of people who say, I don't have to move over if somebody's merging. It gives me goosebumps when I hear people say that, because it just terrifies me to think that I'm going to merge out onto the roadway, and if I get into trouble, the person beside me wasn't going to slow down or speed up or try and help me out in any way. So failing to yield, I have the right of way. And of course, as we know, as smart drivers, you can be right or you can be dead right. Following too close, and then of course, I would say that those two things, failing to yield and falling too close, result in the mismanagement of speed and space. As I like to say, if you are not near anything, it's less likely that you're going to hit something. People are intoxicated. I talked about drink driving and the fact that it is just as much a problem today as it was 30, 40, 50 years ago. And we have, here, at least here in the province of British Columbia and other places, we have increased police powers to try and deal with this problem. And then, of course, new drivers are facing the 4Ds all at the same time: drinking, driving, dated, and distracted driving. You know, now we have cell phones to just add to the complexity of driving. So know that as young drivers, as new drivers, in your 18, 19, 20 years old, that with drinking, driving, dating, distractions, you just don't have a great deal of experience, so you don't know how to focus on one thing. And this is one of the reasons why the GDL programs, the graduated driver licensing programs, put the condition in place where you can only have one other passenger in the vehicle to try and reduce distractions. And of course, zero blood alcohol as well for most of these, and you can't have any handheld devices or electronics in the vehicle. Okay, bureaucracy, drink driving laws are changing, and then of course the contract for life, and Corey will put that up for you. Definitely consider that. So if you're out at a party and you start drinking or you start smoking marijuana or those types of things, you have a friend, you have a family member that you can call regardless of what time it is, and they can come and get you. And then vice versa, if they're doing the same and they give you a ring, you can go and get them, and everybody can get home safely. Many of the safety features in motor cars it's increased tremendously, and we have a much higher chance of surviving traffic crashes. Also, road engineering is part of this. We have crumple zones in vehicles. We have safety glass, breakaway steering columns, safety restraints. Most of us are wearing seat belts now, and we have airbags in the vehicles. All of these automotive safety technologies are improving as well. We have crash tests to give vehicle safety ratings, and you can see those on YouTube as well, and they will give you a list of the different vehicles and their safety rating. And of course, a few years ago, it was interesting that Volvo, its entire marketing, the company's entire marketing campaign was based on safety ratings, and that's how they sold cars, which is interesting in light of the fact that in the 1960s, when Ralph Nader released his book Unsafe at Any Speed and took aim at the Chevrolet Corvair, auto manufacturers retorted saying, oh, nobody's going to buy safety, nobody's going to pay for that. And of course, now 50 years later, it's one of the top features of a car that determines whether we're going to buy it or not. All right. The other piece of traffic crashes that keeps people alive and keeps drivers and passengers and other occupants alive is advances, and most of these advances came out of the Vietnam War in the 1960s. The golden hour, we now know that trauma, that people who sustain severe injuries as a result of a car crash, that you have 60 minutes to get them into surgery. And if you can do that, then you can keep the chances of keeping them alive are much, much higher as well. They also know that, moving them around, agitation in ambulances and in the hospitals and those types of things, all of this contributes to trauma and quality of life after they receive surgery and medical attention. So that's a quick overview of traffic crashes, the impact that it has on our society, and one of the things that you should think about. Most importantly, no one is immune to traffic crashes, and very famous people have died in traffic crashes throughout the decades. So good luck on your driver's test, and remember, pick the best answer, not necessarily the right answer. So we'll get back over here, and my friend Sam is here from the Bronx, New York, one of the boroughs there, and Sam teaches driving instruction there as well, so definitely check out his channel, Big Mac Sam. He's got some great stuff over there and some great information. particularly if you are in New York City and working towards your driver's license. Mallory, it amazes me how some people still don't know how to use their turn signals. You know what they're doing, Mallory. They're trying to increase the resale value on their car, because if you don't use the turn signals, then the car has a higher resale value. And I'm being completely facetious. Goat, you literally helped me pass my driver's test in 2019. Appreciate you. Thanks for everything. And Goat, that is awesome. Congratulations on passing your driver's test. And thank you for continuing to be part of the Smarter Driver community. That's awesome. And I'm assuming that everything is going well for you, that you've been driving well in the last couple of years. Ruben, my friend, yes, people are in a hurry, no doubt about that. Tyler, my power steering hose from the pump to the rack is leaking power steering fluid all over the bottom of the passenger side of the car. The steering hose from the pump to the rack is leaking. So, Tyler, are you saying that your power steering hose is plumbed through the cabin of the car and it's leaking in the car? Is that what you're telling me? Because that's crazy. What kind of car you got? That's crazy. Rain Craze, keep Rick in your pocket. He knows what he's talking about. And please, everyone, take this very serious time to listen, please. And Rain Craze, thank you for that endorsement. That is awesome, my friend. Thank you, thank you. Blessed, my friend. What do you need to keep in your car? Also, glove box. Do you keep safety inspection and car registration in the car? I heard you're not supposed to. The necessities you really need. Okay, so Blessed, that's a great question. And 10 years ago when I worked at the licensing authority here in the province of British Columbia, it would be the DOT there in Hawaii and in the United States. They were saying this, that you don't want to keep your registration and your insurance documents in the car. Well, you kind of have to. Because what happens in the unlikely event that somebody breaks into your car and they find your insurance documents, your address is on there, and they know you're not at home because they just broke into your car, so they can go to your house and they can break into your house. This is the reason that they say don't keep your insurance and your registration documents in your vehicle, because somebody could break in and they know when you're not home, and they also get your information and your other personal information. However, you are required to have proof of insurance and proof of registration in your vehicle in the event that you get pulled over by police officers. So it's kind of a catch-22. Do you? Don't you? And I would say that, yeah, keep it in your vehicle. I can't say I've ever had anybody break into my vehicle and steal my insurance documents and my registration. So, you have to have it in your car, because if you get pulled over, you have to present it to police officers. So it's kind of up to you. You got to weigh that decision about whether you're going to keep it in your vehicle or whether you're going to keep it at home and keep it out of your vehicle. But I might look up the Hawaii DOT and see what they say on the topic, if they have anything to say. Otherwise, keep it in your vehicle. Your Honda Fit there, Blessed, probably has a lock on it. You could lock that as well, and you can lock your vehicle. It's not likely that most people, if thieves are doing that, they are a very highly organized professional, and they're going to find your information out regardless. So that's what I have to say on that topic. Rules. I passed my driving test with 70 out of 75 points just from your videos. I don't know if I should be scared or not. No, because Rules, I like to think that I've been doing this for a very long time, and I know what I'm doing. And if you follow the information that I give you and the techniques and the skills, you can replicate those when you're driving. I think you're going to do fairly well on a driver's test. So I suspect you put in the work, you did the work, you followed what I said, and it's professional lessons. It's what we do. It's what Sam and I do. We teach people how to pass a driver's test every day. So congratulations. Well earned, my friend. All the best. Tyler, you have a Volkswagen Jetta. Okay. I don't know anything about a Volkswagen Jetta because I've never had one, but that's weird that the power steering fluid is pumped through the passenger side of the vehicle. So, yeah, you're going to definitely have to get that fixed or you're not going to have any power steering and you're going to have fluid all over your vehicle. Patrick, Rick, how would you go about selecting the correct lane to drive in on a mega highway with 5 or 6 lanes like the 401 through Toronto? Patrick, it depends on where's my exit, Okay. And the other thing about Toronto, Patrick, is that they usually have 3 collectors and they have 3 through lanes. So if I'm going through Toronto and I know that I'm going to be in the middle lane of the through lanes, okay? Because the right extreme lane is going to be exiting into the collector lanes and the left lane is the passing lane. You want to get out and get past other traffic. Now, if I'm getting off, I'm going to get into the collector lanes, and again, depending on how far down I got to go to get off, I'm still going to run that middle lane, because the middle lane, if there's 3 lanes, the middle lane is going to be your best lane on a multi-lane roadway. All right, and for those of you who may or may not know, I have driven all over North America, and the 2 places that I found to be the most congested, the most challenging to drive in were Atlanta, Georgia, and Toronto, Ontario, Canada. Those were the 2 places. So know that. The Toronto can be very challenging. And when we used to drive into Toronto in the morning, there is a huge Snyder Meats sign at mile marker 299. And we said that if you were not going past that sign at 5:30 a.m. in the morning, you were going to sit in Toronto, which was another hour and a half up the road. If you weren't going past that sign at 5:30 in the morning, you were going to sit in traffic in Toronto. It was just that simple. So we knew that. Mallory, am I still in Vernon? Yes, I am still in Vernon. And it's absolutely gorgeous right now with all the flowers on the trees. And we have 4 trees down at the City Hall that just have these brilliant purple flowers on them. And they are out in full bloom right now. They're just absolutely amazing. My mom is here too right now. So for Mother's Day, my mom was out visiting. And, you know, my birthday was on Friday. So my birthday present was my mom cleaning my house, because you know, being a single dad, running a business, full-time YouTube channel, it gets a little crazy here, and there are days that it looks like a bomb went off in here. You know, the bathroom and the kitchen's clean, but the rest of it is like, that's a lot of work. So that was my mom's birthday present to me. Carl, I used to drive the megabus leaving downtown Toronto at 3:15 a.m. or 3:15 p.m. Oh yes, that's definitely rush hour. Oh my, yeah, you were definitely sitting in some traffic there. Jaden, my friend, how are you, and how is Florida, my friend? Me and my boss have witnessed a 3-car crash. Apparently a building truck did not even hit the brakes and hit 2 vehicles. Oh, that's terrible. That's terrible. Yes. Rules, I didn't have any friends or family to teach me to drive, so Rick made this happen for me. I truly appreciate it. I was joking about being scared. I'm a decent driver. I passed. LOL. Yes. And now, Rules, the real learning begins for sure, because there's no better teacher than experience. That's for sure, my friend. No better teacher. All right. Corey's put up the video on 5 tips and tricks to keep you safe after you get your driver's license. So, Rules, definitely have a look at that video for sure. Excellent. Joe, could terrible road conditions be a major cause of crashes after driving in Ontario, Arizona, California, all with okay roads? Driving on I-678 north of JFK Airport with scary mega potholes. Joe, that kind of, sort of. The interesting part, Joe, is they've done studies to show that when the weather is bad, regardless of what radio reports and media reports say, there are fewer crashes than you would think. Actually, most people drive better when the weather is bad, or when the road is bad, as you're saying, with the number of potholes and those types of things. No, terrible road conditions and bad weather conditions don't do what you think they do, which is to make more crashes. They don't. They actually make people drive better. And, you know, I had some of that historical information there. There was actually a newspaper article from that kind of same era that I have somewhere, and I would have to go and look for it. But the fact that they were saying that when there's inclement weather, when it's snowing or raining heavily, that there's actually fewer crashes, that people are actually driving safer than they do. And as I said in the presentation, that most crashes happen on dry roads, clear weather, and most people are 20-30 minutes from home. They're not very far away from their home at all. So, yes, thank you so much, everybody. Yes, it was my birthday on Friday. I had an excellent birthday on Friday. Lots of stuff going on. Of course, I go to jiu-jitsu and get beat up. That's my birthday present. So that's what we do. Blessed, love my Honda Fit, but no lock in the glove box. And when I got the car, I noticed the passenger side has no lock to lock or unlock all doors. Some cars have this. That was new to me. Okay, yes. So blessed, but you do have a key fob to lock the doors on your Honda Fit, though, right? You're absolutely right. Yes, the new cars do not have a actual lock that you can put a key into on the passenger side. That's fairly new on new cars, but of course it just saves money, right? Because you save $10 and you figure you save $10 on, I don't know how many cars, 10,000 cars or those types of things. So, you know, that's why they don't do it. Same thing, a lot of Fords and other domestic vehicles and whatnot won't have a actual key lock that you can unlock the doors on the passenger side. Blessed, thank you so much. Joe, interesting, potholes can increase safety. Yeah, who would have thunk? The other interesting thing on that note, Joe, is I was watching a documentary on driving and traffic crashes some years ago, and I wish I could find it again. One of the driving instructors that they interviewed said, if you want to make cars safer, you just put a big spike right in the middle of the steering wheel and see how nice and safe people drive at that juncture when they know that if they, hit the brakes or they hit something or are driving aggressively, that they could essentially impale themselves on this spike on the steering wheel, which, it's a little crude, but there is some validity in what the driving instructor was saying. And it's also well documented that it's called the rebound effect, or the optimism. It's not. That's something different. It's called the rebound effect. So essentially, it's the same thing. So the more safety features you put on cars, ABS, power steering, power brakes, lane assist, cruise control, all these safety features on your vehicle, that people actually drive more aggressively than they do if they have a vehicle that doesn't have any of those safety features on it. So it's called the rebound effect. It's the same thing as people who have a house and it's cold and drafty, and then they spend all this money on it and they insulate it, and then after they insulate it, so instead of running the heat at 19 degrees Celsius or 67 degrees Fahrenheit, what they'll do is after they insulate the house, they'll actually turn the heat up to 23 or 24 degrees Celsius, which 78 or 79 degrees Fahrenheit. It's called the rebound effect. So you do something to improve conditions, and then human behavior overrides that improvement or that safety feature, so that it dismisses it or erodes that safety feature. So it's the same thing as potholes. It actually makes drivers safer. Bad weather actually makes drivers safer on the roadway. So it's the same. That's well documented, the rebound effect. I'll leave it there. Bluffer, I've heard that on the Autobahn in Germany, where there is no speed limit, there is less crashes. Bluffer, I don't know any information about that. There is some rumor here. I haven't sourced this out yet. I haven't substantiated these facts, but some people are saying that they're actually beginning to put speed limits on the Autobahn. But I wouldn't be surprised if there are fewer accidents on the Autobahn than there are on other roads. I mean, here in British Columbia, they raised all the speed limits on the highways, on the Trans-Canada Highway and the Coquihalla Highway 3-4 years ago to 120 kilometers an hour, which is 62, which is 75 miles an hour. And I don't think that there has been any significant increase in traffic crashes because of that raising of the speed limit on the main highways. And it goes back to my point that a lot of traffic safety authorities are quick to jump on the bandwagon and say crashes are caused by speeding. No, they're not caused by speeding. They're caused by drivers failing to give the right of way and drivers following too close. Speeding contributes to the severity of the injuries in the crash. It doesn't cause the crash. So those are different things. And I have a great deal of trouble with that, because Australian authorities are quick to jump on the bandwagon and say, oh, you need to reduce your speed to reduce crashes. That's not true. You need to manage space better. You need to have in place habits and skills that will keep you safe in the event that another driver does something goofy, because it's not a matter of if another driver is going to do something goofy. It's a matter of when they're going to do something goofy. Because expecting other people and other road users and drivers on the roadway to not do something goofy is like going and watching your favorite sports team and expecting the other team not to score. Once in a while it's going to happen, but not always. The other team is almost always going to score. And more than 50% of the time, they're going to win the game. So it's the same thing as driving. Mallory, when my mom and I are driving around town, she will tell me what is going on the roadway because I have no vision. Awesome. That's great, Mallory. Crystal, my driving practice went well today, getting better each week. That is good. Happy belated birthday. It was my uncle's birthday yesterday, and happy belated birthday to your brother. Reese, what's the difference between driving in the major cities in the Northeast, Boston, New York City, Hartford, New Haven? Also, happy belated birthday. Reese, okay, so once you get into the boroughs in New York City, New York City was a city that grew up with the automobile, more or less. You get into some parts of Queens and the Bronx, it's not really on a grid. But if you get into Manhattan, Manhattan is definitely on a grid. You know, one-way streets, cross streets, it's fairly easy to navigate. Boston is an old colonial city. If you're on the outside of the ring road in Boston, it's not too bad because that part of the city grew up with the automobile. But if you get inside the ring road in Boston, it's a lot more challenging because it's an old colonial city. And I've driven in Boston where you drive down a road and all of a sudden there's a building there and the road has ended at the building. And that's what happens when you get these old colonial cities where they didn't grow up with the motor car. They grew up with the horse and cart, and then they were adopted to the motor car. So it makes it a bit more challenging driving in Boston. Now, New Haven, again, you're into New England, you're into these old colonial cities. So it depends on the history of the city on how hard it is to drive. Now, the other thing with New York City is there's many interstates and parkways, not just in New York City, but also in and around the larger metropolitan area, which makes it fairly easy to navigate once you get on the toll roads there in New York City. But, you know, as I said, once you get into New England, Hartford, New Haven, those places, New Haven, Connecticut, it's going to be a bit colonial. But for the most part, you know, the United States, most of the metropolitan areas are easily navigated because of the interstate system there. And what makes Atlanta tough to drive for your perspective? I think what happens in Atlanta, Georgia, is just a huge ring road, 6 lanes of traffic, and in the afternoon, I think there's just more cars than what the interstate can handle, and you're basically sitting in traffic in the afternoon. But anybody who's driving professionally will know this, and it's part and parcel that, you know, there's rush hour in the morning going into the city, and there's rush hour in the afternoon coming out of the city. So you plan your navigation and your route planning accordingly so you don't get stuck in that traffic. There you go. Charles, my friend. Hi, Rick. I'm going to do my 5th driving lesson, and this could be my final one. When my driving instructor know if I'm going to take the road test or more driving lessons. Charles, yes, your driving instructor will be able to give you feedback about your readiness for the driving test. And if they're a good instructor, they'll basically say, yes, you're ready, or you need a couple more lessons or whatnot. But yeah, most of the time they're going to, you know, give you a few things that you might need to work on or whatnot. Or they'll just say, listen, hey, you're good to go. You know, maybe practice your parallel parking a couple more times or those types of things. But yes, for sure, your driving instructor will let you know that. Blessed, I have a key fob, but sorry, what I meant, a lock and unlock switch inside the car of the passenger side, just in case someone leaves or comes in the car. I have 2 unlocks from driver's side. I hope this makes sense. Yes, it does make sense, Blessed. Now, the other thing, Blessed, if I remember correctly, it's a 2019, your car. There may be a setting, or it may do this already. There's a lot of cars that as soon as you reach a certain speed, the door locks will lock automatically. If not, you know, maybe look in the settings on the car. There might be some place that you can set that, or you can take it into your automotive technician and they might be able to set that up for you where it automatically, the doors lock, and that will keep you safe. Or the other thing is just remember to, you know, click the lockdown as you're going, and that way nobody's going to get in the car or those types of things while you're driving along, keeping you safe. Okay. Fatima, happy birthday. Thank you so much for that. That is awesome. Corey's put up the video on managing space around your vehicle. Jaden, me and my boss were in Arcadia when we were waiting for a light to turn green. The intersection without stopping at the red light, and the car next to him hit him. Yeah, that's going to happen a lot, especially there in Florida, because Florida is the third most populated state in the United States of America, so lots of traffic. And as well, and I hate to say this because this is going to be ageist, but it does have a higher number of elderly people who are driving and, you know, may or may not have health issues that are, and, you know, other issues that are going to affect their driving. So again, it comes back to putting in place skills, abilities, and techniques that are going to keep you safe. And I come back to what I was talking about in terms of car crash causes. What are the causes of car crashes? Failing to yield and following too close, or the mismanagement of space. Because as I say, if you're not near anything, it's less likely that you're going to hit something. So know that. Manage space well around your vehicle. So, and Jaden just said his dad's truck does that at a certain speed, it locks the doors. Jaden, what kind of vehicle what kind of truck is it? Is it a GMC or Dodge or those types of things? Bluffer, my coworker has failed his N road test 10 times. I told him to watch your videos on shoulder checks. He finally did a lesson, and he told him everything you say in your videos. Well, I'm glad that we could definitely help out your friend. That's awesome. Tim, where can I find your alley dock parking skills? I don't have any of that up yet, Tim, in terms of backing up with a big truck. So unfortunately, I'm still working on those, trying to get to those. Garcia, thank you for everything you teach us. You are most welcome, my friend. Crystal, also happy Mother's Day, everyone. Yes. Okay, so your dad has a Dodge Ram, and those automatically lock the doors. And there's quite a number of vehicles on the market that do that. And as I was saying as well, if your vehicle doesn't do that, sometimes it's just an adjustment in the computer, and they can do that, you know, if you take it into a technician or whatnot. It was the same thing as I was talking to the Kenworth dealer, the salesperson, my friend Ken, who they provide equipment here at Inline Kenworth in Vernon. And he was saying, I was telling him in 2016, I was driving a truck, and in the old, some trucks that I drove previously, that once you went over the cruise control a certain amount, the jake brake would kick in. Well, this truck that I was driving in 2016, the jake brake wouldn't come on. So you'd be rolling down a hill, and next thing you look down and you're like, oh my God, I'm doing like 140. What? Oh my God. Got to get on the brakes here. He said it's just a thing in the computer. He says you just bring it in, we plug it in, and 5 minutes later they've got it changed for you so that it will do that. So many of these things are just something that you can take into your technician and get them to do. Joe, still training my son to maintain at least 2 seconds following distance, 3 to 4 seconds when things are hectic. If everyone kept a 2 to 4 second buffer, 360 degree crashes would be way down. And not only crashes, Joe, but congestion. And I had this argument as well, not this argument, but I had this feedback, the vitriol of people when I told them to leave 1 car length between your vehicle and the vehicle in front. People are like, oh, people are going to squeeze in there, and you're just causing congestion, and you're just taking up space on the roadway, and you're a road hog. Ah! And they got all excited. And I'm like, you know, if everybody kept that 1 vehicle length distance when they're stopped in traffic, if everybody maintained that 3 to 4 second following distance, big trucks 5 to 6 seconds, we would have less congestion. We would have less congestion, because think of it like this. If you put a line of, say, 20 people, you put them together and you put them all as close as you can, and then you ask those 20 people to walk through doing right turns and left turns, and they couldn't do it because they'd be tripping over each other's legs and they'd be following into each other and those types of things. Now, if you took those same people and you put them 6 feet apart, and then you asked them to move in a line as a cohesive unit, they could do it. through a course. It's the same thing with traffic. When you're 2 feet off the bumper in front of you, you're hoping on a wing and a prayer that you can react in time when the driver in front of you does something goofy, hits the brakes or slams on the brakes or those types of things. It's the same thing. And everybody's reacting to the person in front of them. And when that happens, it causes congestion and bottlenecks. We need space between vehicles to reduce congestion on our roadways and to get that idea into people. And I was watching another video on self-driving vehicles where the vehicle was following behind a big truck and something fell off the big truck. And the ethical, moral question was, does the self-driving car run into the motorcycle or does it run into the car on the right? And I'm thinking, so we're assuming that as soon as we have self-driving cars that we're all going to be driving 2 feet off the bumper in the car from the car in front of us. When in fact, if they actually get some smart people in there who know something about traffic and traffic congestion, that they're going to program self-driving cars so that they're at least 4-second following distance from the vehicle in front of you, and then it becomes a non-issue. Because I mean, on one of the comments, obviously in the thing was, why is the self-driving car tailgating the big truck? And I'm thinking the same thing. I'm thinking, why is the self-driving car tailgating the big truck? So anyway, that's what we got going on there. Taya, thank you so much for the birthday wishes. That's awesome. Big Mac Sam, I had a student that only took 5 lessons and wanted to take a road test because she wanted her license already. I told her she wasn't ready. She did not want to listen. She was unsuccessful. And she was so upset. And you know, it's unfortunate, Sam, that happens. And I had this happen at the truck driving school, and we had a student who was being funded from another company, and they sent them to us, and the student was scheduled to go in for a driver's test. And I said to the people in the office, I said, the student's not ready. I said, he needs 3 more lessons, and then he'll be ready to go in for his driver's test. And we're talking big truck. We're talking Class A license. We're talking a lot of money, like $500 to go and to take a driver's test with a big truck. I said he needs 3 more lessons, and then he'll be done. They didn't listen to me. They sent him in for his driver's test, and unfortunately he failed. I felt so bad for him because, you know, could have come up with the money somewhere to get him 3 more lessons and then carry on. But that's what happened. Blessed, what do you do if the brakes go out? Also, what if your tires blow out? What do you do in those conditions? I wouldn't know what these panics. Okay, so Blessed, excellent question about the brakes. Very high on, it's very low probability that the brakes are going to fail because the brakes are divided into 2 independent subsystems. So if the front brakes go, the back brakes will still work. If the back brakes go, the front brakes will still work. They're designed like that for a safety feature. In the unlikely event that something happens and all your brakes go, you still have the parking brake. You can use that as an emergency brake, and that will get you going. The other piece that you can do if, you know, all of that fails, put the transmission into neutral and then just steer the vehicle, and eventually it will slow down. Because most of the time you're not going to be on a hill. It's not like in the movies where you careen down a hill, you're pumping the brake pedal, you know, with great futility. Nothing's happening. You crash into a tree and explode into a fire inferno. In real life, that usually doesn't happen. Okay? It's not like that at all. There's 2 independent subsystems. It's unlikely that the brakes are going to fail. Tire blowout, in this day and age of power steering and those types of things, most of the time you're like, oh, that's a little weird, and you're just going to pull over to the side of the road and you'll get out of the vehicle and discover that you have a flat tire. It's not like in, you know, again, it's not like in the movies in the old days, and the fear that they instill in you that when you have a tire blowout, the tire blows out, the whole front of the car falls off, you know, you careen down a hill, crash into a tree, and die in a fiery inferno. It's not what happens. Okay? The tire just goes flat, and you just pull off the side of the road, and you call AAA, and they come out and fix the tire. Okay? Big Mac Sam, we can definitely tell if someone is ready or not. Some just want to wing it. And you're absolutely right, Sam. You know, unfortunately, some students are just not going to take your counsel. And, you know, it's like I tell drivers, students again and again, this is what you and I do every day. We know whether students are ready to take a driver's test or not. Taya, you're so welcome. Thank you so much, my friend. Peace. If I read the whole driver's book, should I be ready for my test? Absolutely not. Peace. Don't read the whole driver's handbook from cover to cover. It's terrible. It's written by bureaucrats, and the only thing it's really good for is curing insomnia. My counsel for study for the learner's permit is to go and find practice driving test questions here on the internet. Do it. Figure out where the holes are in your knowledge, what you don't know. Go to the driver's handbook and look up and read just those sections, and then keep doing the practice driving test questions until you're getting 80 to 90% consistently. Once you're getting 80 to 90% consistently, then you can go into the DOT or the test center and write your learner's permit. That's how you do that. And there's a whole playlist here. Corey will put that up for you, and you can have a look at that playlist, and that will help you out to study for your learner's permit. Okay, Eric, on the topic of not changing lanes while turning in an intersection, what if there is only one turn lane leading? Where'd you go? Turn lane in onto the street you're turning onto. What if there's Eric, whichever way you're turning, obviously you got to get to that closest side. So if you're turning right, you want to get to the closest side. If you're turning left, you want to get to that closest side as well. So you just, I'm not saying you change lanes in an intersection, but you're not going to go from the left side of the intersection or the left side of the lane to turn right. Okay, just get to the closest side and then make your turn. Jaden, also, I did have a problem with my brakes once. I pulled into a Circle K gas station, and the employee told me my brakes were seizing up, so I had to drive to where I need to with the hazards on. And yes, if you have something wrong with your car, definitely get the hazards on as quickly as possible. That's an excellent point of what Jaden just said. Had some issues with the buggy last week, same thing. And the one place where the buggy stopped, I drove right up on the sidewalk because there was, like my son said to me at the time, he says, why is there even a piece of sidewalk here? It was along the highway, and there's this short, 100-yard piece of sidewalk, and I just pulled the car right up on the piece of sidewalk, put the hazards on, and then, attended to the car and whatnot. Got the car going, and same thing, it stopped along the highway, and let me tell you, where we were on the highway, there was nowhere to pull off the road. Put your hazards on, be safe. Okay, watch the traffic if you have to get out of your car if it's broken down or those types of things. In the end, I ended up taking into the automotive technician. Was in the shop for a day or so, and it turns out that the buggy had an old remote starter on it, and that's what was causing it to shut down. Because when it shut down, when the engine shut down, it was just like somebody turned the key off, and then you'd wait a little bit, and then it'd start up again. And the technician, Doug, who worked on the buggy, said, he had that experience in the oil fields a few times with brand new vehicles where they had remote starters on them. The remote starter would override the engine, and then they would have to tow it 200 kilometers into the town, have it fixed, and they would figure out that it was actually the goofy electronic starter. So that's what it was on the buggy. Joe, how's the price of gas in Vernon, north of Toronto here? It hit $1.99 today. Yeah, $5.85 a gallon, almost like European gas prices here. Joe, yeah, it's almost exactly the same price here. It's up $1.95, $1.96 here. Some places like in Vancouver, it's $2.16. It's just crazy how expensive fuel is. I'm a little concerned that if this continues, it's going to have an incredible impact on our economy, and yeah, I don't even want to contemplate that. Blessed, you have a blessed week as well, my friend. And if I didn't get to your question, leave a comment down in the comment section. We'll do what we can to help you out, answer your questions. Quince, if I'm going to take my test with little driving experience, what is the serious fault that I'm most likely to make? Or what's the most common serious faults that inexperienced drivers make? Quince, the biggest fault that drivers make on a driver's test is not shoulder checking. Shoulder check, shoulder check, shoulder check, okay? 2 times for every turn, every time you change direction, lane changes. Have a look at those videos and get your lane changes down for the purposes of passing your driver's test. Excellent live stream. Raise Crane, I'll just answer this one and then we'll go. I've been watching Rick since I started, before I had my permit. The only person I listen to. If you study and keep up, you will be successful. Thank you again, Rick. Rain Crazed, you are most welcome, my friend. Epic, you're here as well. Don't have time, but I'll get to it. And Epic says that that prices in Jersey are $4 a gallon and $5 for premium. Yeah, it's just crazy how much it is in terms of fuels. All the best, everybody. Congratulations if you passed your license in the last couple of weeks. And good luck if you have a license coming up. If you have any questions at all, leave a comment down in the comment section there for people watching on the replay. Check out Pass Your Driver's Test First Time Course Package, guaranteed to pass. And as a bonus, the Defensive Driving and Winter Driving course. And remember, pick the best answer, not necessarily the right answer. Have a great night. Bye now.